Shalom, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rukakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, the great millstone, who are teaching the truth and sincerity, and the Shahachiakim that's out there in four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rukakadash, Bracha. So, pretty much what's going on is a lot more development in the Middle East, especially in Iran and Iraq. Yes, Iraq as well. But nonetheless, though, the big story, here's information released. The UK tanker hit Iranian boat, ignored its distress call before capture. So, in other words, they deliberately got themselves captured so that way they could have a pretext for war. So, that's what's going on here. Iranian authorities say the British oil tanker seized in the Strait of Hormuz was involved in an accident with an Iranian fishing boat and ignored its distress call before capture. Okay, so that's a pretty good reason to be violated and to be detained, isn't it? Oh, but that's not what they're going to tell you on the mainstream. No, they're going to call Iran Revolutionary Republican Guards as terrorists, just like they used to with Iraq. Iranian authorities say the British... Oh, okay, I already read that. Alan Morad Afapur, head of Ports Maritime Organization in the southern Hormona province, said on Saturday that the 30,000-ton UK-flagged Steno Impero tanker had collided with the fishing boat on its route, and according to law, after an accident, it is necessary that the causes are investigated. Again, you know, sideswipe a fishing boat. Following the collision, those on board the fishing boat contacted the British vessel, but didn't receive any response, so they just ignored him. So they informed the Hormona Maritime Organization according to the legal procedures, he added. So in other words, the UK didn't care that they had just hit someone. You know, it's kind of like a hit and run. Afapur also noted that the tanker had been taken to Bandar Abbas port, where it and its crew will remain while a probe is carried out into the British vessel's conduct. In other words, this is a serious charge. The tanker was not carrying any cargo, he said, adding the crew members of the ship may be interviewed on technical matters. The investigation into the cause of the accident has been started today. He said all its 23 crew members will remain on the ship until the probe is over. If necessary and at the request of judicial authorities, the crew may be summoned for technical and specialist interviews, Afapur added. So, again, you know, it wasn't just some sort of peaceful mission there. No, they hit somebody. You know, I wish that a lot more people would be fucking investigated, because you know how many fucking goddamn accidents are? Because these dumb fucking goddamn red Hebrew Edomites can't drive worth the fucking fuck. A lot of hit and runs go on, but nah, fucking pigs are never around. No, they're too busy with the homeless. And of course, sucking on them fucking donuts and coffee. Not that I expect any justice in this piece of shit called America. Iran's Islamic Revolution Guard Corps pounded Steno Impero on Friday when it was passing through the Strait of Hormuz en route to Saudi Arabia for failing to respect international maritime laws. So again, you know, that's what happened, and I definitely believe this to be true. I don't believe anything that the U.S. government has to say, or the UK government, aka the beast. And follow up, this one from Zero Hedge. Iran releases first footage of seized oil tanker. And so we'll see if I can get this to play. So, that was the captured ship there. I apologize in advance for these goddamn pop-ups, but you know how fucking Esau is. As of Saturday morning, soon after the vessel was approached by an unidentified small naval craft and a helicopter during her visit of the Strait of Hormuz in international waters, the vessel suddenly devastated from her passage to Jubal and headed north towards Iran, the company said in a statement. Iran's national IRNA quoted an Iranian maritime official as saying there are 18 Indian and 5 crew members from Russia, Philippines, Latvia, and other countries on board of Stena Imperial. The captain is Indian, but the tanker is UK flagged. So there's even more to this. So in other words, you don't even got British on there. But just have a flag going, you know. See how they try to make it an international incident? It really isn't. As of Saturday morning, Indian government officials have contacted India, is in contact with Tehran to secure the release of the majority Indian crew. Meanwhile, the second foreign vessel, which was captured on Friday, Liberian flag UK-owned tanker Mossad, which that's the big one that's getting all the talks, was reportedly released after being briefly boarded by Iran's military. Okay, so that's already, we're already past that, as we detained previously. UK's foreign secretary Jeremy Hunt has warned Iran of serious consequences if its military does not return control of the British flag oil tanker Stena Imperial, according to Sky News. He said British action will be robust, but also emphasized we're not looking at military options at this early stage. Yeah, right, but you just made a threat, but you don't want to back it. That's funny, you know. More provocation of war. UK warns robust response coming if Iran doesn't release tanker as U.S. jets fly over Gulf. UK Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt has warned Iran of serious consequences if its military does not return control of the British flagship tanker Stena Imperial, according to Sky News. He said British action will be robust. Okay, I read that in the other one. Mr. Hunt said, "This is completely unacceptable. Freedom of navigation must be maintained. We are having an emergency meeting." Yeah, but you goddamn fucking pirates seized an Iranian vessel going to Syria. Piece of shit. We are having an emergency meeting of the government's Cobra Committee in a few minutes' time. We will respond in a way that is considered but robust, and we are absolutely clear that if this situation is not resolved quickly, there will be serious consequences. Mr. Hunt continued, "We are not looking at military options, but we are looking at a diplomatic way to resolve this situation. We are very clear it must be resolved." Yeah. Let's pump this talk. And according to a breaking CNN report, the White House could once again be on a war footing following President Trump backing off the previously planned strike on Iranian positions last month. President Trump has privately adopted a more hawkish tone on Iran in recent days, according to 3 people familiar with the developments, as tensions increase in the Gulf. So, again, you know, provocation of war, rumor of war. Meanwhile, back in Iraq, Iran's IRGC unleashes fire on the terrorist positions along border with Iraqi Kurdistan. So, you know, a lot of fighting's been going on. Also, Gomer's been fighting there, too. All right, Slovakia, I just read a little further here, and I'll bring this up. But nonetheless, though, this is only a drill. But you can see, though, that Iran is quite capable of defending itself against these terror groups. But you do know that there was a terrorist attack in Iran. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has staged a multi-pronged offensive on terrorist positions along the Iranian border with Iraq's northern semi-autonomous Kurdistan region, inflicting heavy losses on them. Well, then this ain't no practice drill. This is happening. So you can see, though, that you got all these, you got Gomer and all those bands in there, and then you got the U.S., and you got Persia, all of them, right there in Iraq. The IRGC, in a statement on Friday afternoon, announced that it has been pounding the strongholds and positions of the counter-revolutionary terrorist group sponsored by the globalist arrogance in the Kurdish region since Wednesday. Again, you know, these terrorist groups have actually attacked Iran before. So it's only natural that they want to get rid of the terrorist strongholds that are coming in from Syria and Iraq. In particular, to touch Iran, they're coming in through Iraq. The statement added that the raids came in the wake of a recent deadly terror attack against IRGC members, as well as desperate attempts by the terrorists to undermine the security in some regions of Iran's western and northwestern areas. So yes, you know, it was in direct response to that. So pretty much, though, Press TV IRGC confirms missile attack on Iraq-based terrorists. So, again, you know, that these terrorists are supported by the United States. But wait, there's more. And this from Press TV. U.S. mission in Baghdad serves as Mossad, which is Amalek, Daesh headquarters, Iraqi MP. So pretty much, man, even Iraq is telling you that pretty much the United States and Mossad, which is Israeli state, Amalek, is the terror groups, is supporting the Daesh terrorists, which is another name. A senior Iraqi parliamentarian warns that the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad is involved in suspicious activities, saying agents of the Israeli spy agency Mossad and the Daesh terrorist group have been spotted regularly visiting the diplomatic mission. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad has turned into a center for Israeli state, Mossad, and ISIS. See? ISIS and Daesh are the same thing. Terrorist Hassan Salim was quoted as saying by the Iraqi Arabic language Al-Samara news website. Salim said the U.S. Embassy is interfering in Iraq's internal affairs by spying, spreading rumors, and hatching plots. The U.S. Embassy's violation of laws and forgetting its responsibilities based on the international law means that the center could not be called an embassy, and therefore its closure is legally necessary, the Iraqi lawmaker said. U.S. giving Daesh head protection. You know, then that's what the Syrian Democratic Forces are too. Salem had earlier suggested that the U.S. forces in Ain al-Assad military base were protecting Daesh ringleader Ibrahim al-Samai Aka Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Remember al-Baghdadi? In the western desert of the Iraq's Anbar province, which is what borders Syria. Al-Baghdadi is using the Anbar Desert as a safe haven while the U.S. forces provide him with all means of support from their station at the Ain al-Assad military base in Anbar province, Salem said in February. The Iraqi MP argued that the American support for al-Baghdadi stems from Washington's fear of a draft bill on expelling foreign troops from Iraq, with the parliament intends to vote on during the new legislative team. Also in February, former Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, for the first time, divulged explosive secrets about the United States supported Daesh and intentionally allowed the Takfiri terror outfit to gain power in Iraq so that Washington could creep back into the country. So you're hearing it, that pretty much, it's not a conspiracy theory, but rather it's a fact. He said that the administration of former President Barack Obama had played a key role in the creation of Daesh by allowing the terrorist group to overrun Iraqi territories. In March, an Iraqi security expert also revealed that the American embassy in Iraq was carrying out suspicious measures, describing the mission as a U.S.-Israeli operations room that sought to destabilize the region. Abbas al-Adal was quoted by the Arabic language Al-Madha News website on saying that the U.S. administration was exerting pressures on Baghdad and killing time to prolong its deployment in Iraq. He said the relocation of terrorists from the town of Bakhuz in eastern Syria to the U.S. bases in Iraq was aimed to stir security tensions in the country and find a pretext for continued deployment of American forces. Al-Adal said Iraqi lawmakers certainly wanted all U.S. forces to be expelled from the country as soon as possible, given the fact that the Iraqi army. Another senior Iraqi expert had in January warned of Washington's attempts to increase its influence in Iraq, saying Israeli spies and Daesh terrorists were present across U.S. bases in Iraq. Hafez al-Basra told Al-Malama News website that the U.S. was attempting to boost its presence in Iraq and the American forces had been stationed in the southern parts of Baghdad. He went on to say that the U.S. forces did not allow any Iraqis to enter their bases. Yeah, but you're in their country. In an attempt to conceal the realities from the public opinion. Israeli intelligence service agents were also operated from the bases where Takfiri terrorists also received shelter and training, he added. Well, you got to realize that ISIS really stands for Israeli Secret Intelligence Services. That's what it is. More on Iraq. Iraqi Prime Minister orders investigation into drone attack on Mossad Shabu camp. So again, we know that Israeli state had bombed Iraq as well as Gomer. Iraqi Prime Minister Abdel Mahdi has ordered a probe into an attack by an unarmed aircraft on base belonging to fighters from pro-government popular mobilization units, PMU, better known by the Arabic name Mossad al-Shabi, in Salhana province. Abu Mahdi, also the commander-in-chief of Iraqi forces, issued a directive to form a fact-finding committee composed of the Joint Operations Command representatives of the Air Force Command, Air Defense Command, and Mossad al-Shabi to investigate what really happened at Martyrs Camp. Arabic language Al-Ahad TV television network reported on Friday that a drone had dropped explosives onto the base near the town of Armali, located about 170 kilometers north of the capital Baghdad, in the early hours of the day, killing at least one PMU fighter and injuring 4 others. And you can best believe this is a Mossad operation. Unidentified drones have reportedly attacked a base belonging to Iraq's popular mobilization forces, known as Mossad al-Shabi, in Iraq's Salhana province. Video footage broadcast by Iraqi channels showed a blaze burning at the site and plumes of the smoke billowing, which, I just forwarded that yesterday. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack, but you can best believe it's a Mossad operation. Because how would Israeli intelligence have it if it wasn't a Mossad operation? Moreover, the Iraqi Al-Tana television network reported that an American B-350 reconnaissance plane had flown over the area a few days earlier. Mossad al-Shabi fighters played a major role in the liberation of Daesh-held areas to the south, northeast, and north of Baghdad ever since the terrorists launched an offensive in the country in June 2014. Which you and I both know that this was because Bashar al-Assad was re-elected by the people of Syria. So that's when Mossad, Israeli Secret Intelligence Services, had pretty much formed the terror group and had taken over both Iraq and Syria. You know, they pretty much came in through Iraq, and then all of a sudden, the terrorist group got all the U.S. military tanks and weaponry, right? No, man, it was given to them. You know that, and I know that. Because what does the United States do? It protects the terrorists. It creates the terrorists. Iraq has repeatedly condemned allegations of sectarian nature against the voluntary force. The Iraqi parliament on November 26, 2016 approved a law giving full legal status to Mossad al-Shabi fighters. It recognized the PMU as part of the National Armed Forces, placed the volunteer fighters under the command of the Prime Minister, and granted them the right to receive salaries and pensions like the regular army and police forces. You know, Iraq had to form together because the U.S. had created these terrorist groups along with Mossad, so Iraq had to do something. You know, similar to what Syria's doing, Iraq had adapted similar things, you know, that pretty much whoever wants to take up arms and defend Iraq can be a part of Iraq's militia to pretty much restabilize Iraq from these terrorist groups that the United States and its ally, Amalek, supports. Former Iraqi Prime Minister Haidar al-Abadi declared the end of military operations against Daesh in the Arab country on December 9, 2017. On July 10, the year he had formally declared victory over Daesh in Mosul. Yeah, and that took a long time to re-establish Mosul, which served as the terrorist main urban stronghold in Iraq. In the run-up to Mosul's liberation, Iraqi army soldiers and Mossad al-Shabi fighters had made sweeping gains against the terrorist group. Iraqi forces took control of eastern Mosul in January 2017 after 100 days of fighting and launched a battle in the west on February 19 last year. Daesh began a terror campaign in Iraq in 2014, overrunning vast swatches and lightning attacks. Meanwhile, back in Yemen, Yemenis launched retaliatory drone attacks on Saudi's airbase. Yemeni armed forces have conducted drone strikes on King Khalid Air Base in Saudi Arabia's southwestern Asir province in retaliation for the kingdom's massive bombing of Sana'a early Saturday. The Al-Mossad TV channel reported that the Yemeni army soldiers and allied fighters from popular committees used Qassam K-2 combat drones to target the airbase near the city of Khamis Mashhad. It quoted Yemen's Armed Forces spokesman Brigadier General Yahan Saeed as saying that the unarmed aerial vehicle UAV has accurately hit radar and military sites at the Saudi base. The retaliation came after Saudi warplanes carried out airstrikes on Sana'a's September 21 park and the Ministry of Media Affairs earlier in the day, Al-Masra reported. Saudi air raids, it added, it also targeted Farza camp in the Arab district of Sana'a province. Saudi-led coalition spokesman Colonel Turki al-Malaki said warplanes carried out an operation to destroy 5 air defense sites and ballistic missile depots in Sana'a on Saturday morning, the official Saudi press agency reported. So pretty much, man, you know, this war continues, but wait, there's more. And this one from the anti-media, of course, you know as well as I do, it's quieted down there, but that doesn't mean that things ain't happening down there. It just means you're just not getting reports about it. Meanwhile, back in Venezuela, Guaido's bodyguards arrested as Venezuela talks resume in Barbados. Three men linked to self-declared interim President Juan Guaido were arrested on Friday while allegedly selling weapons stolen during the failed April 30 attempt, you know. According to Communications Minister Jorge Rodriguez, Guaido's personal bodyguards Eric Sanchez and Jason Parisi, as well as Sanchez's cousin Eduardo Garcia, were detained while reportedly trying to sell 5 AK-103 rifles and 10 ammunition packs for a sum of US $35,000. The rifles' serial numbers allegedly matched those stolen from the Bolivarian National Guard's posts in Caracas Federal Legislative Palace, where the National Assembly sits. Apart from catching the men in possession of the weapons, the government also claims to have accumulated overwhelming video and audio evidence against them since April. How many more articles of the Constitution does Guaido's team look to violate? Why are they always linked to violent deeds with arms? We need to play clean. Don't try to cover these operations up, Rodriguez said during a press conference. The arrests were announced as the government and opposition are engaged in Norway-mediated dialogue in Barbados, with both Maduro and Guaido's delegations returning to the island on Monday for a new round of talks. No details of the discussions have been disclosed, with Associated Press reporting that the topic of election is reportedly being left for last. These criminals are sitting at the dialogue table on one hand and continue violent acts on the other, Rodriguez went on to state on Saturday. National Assembly President Juan Guaido, led by a failed military uprising on April 30, which saw hardline opposition leader Leopoldo Lopez released from house arrest to join him and a handful of soldiers in the Autonomous District of East Caracas. The putsch failed after it became apparent that the rest of the armed forces remained loyal to the Maduro government, and a march led by Guaido was stopped from reaching the center of Caracas. The Venezuelan government also claims that the boss shot did not take into account a series of testimonies from families of victims of human rights abuses committed during the violent street protests known as Garambas, which included beheadings, fire bombings, and live burnings, such as that of Orlando Figueroa in 2017. So, this fucking piece of shit Juan Guaido is a criminal, but you're not going to hear about that on the mainstream. No, of course not. You're only going to hear about how bad Maduro is. But, that's just it. No, that's why we look at the alternative media, because we are not going to get it from the so-called mainstream. So, that just leads me right here, I just read you the updates from everything that just took place yesterday, and just, further escalation of war. This thing's kicking off. And this is Joel chapter 3. For behold, in those days and at that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Yehuda and Jerusalem, which is pretty much now, we're in this captivity, better known as Babylon the Great, Basra. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of Yehoshaphat, which you can see is right there in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Syria, Iran, and pretty much, though, you already know what's going on with ICE over here. And ISIS, which is Mossad, which you could say Mossad is involved with both, and will plead with them, for they're my people and my heritage, Yashala, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people and given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. And again, what's happening in these detention centers is the same thing all over again. Same thing that happened a couple hundred years ago is happening now. They are trading them. I mean, that movie, Taken, shows you that. They are trading them. Pretty much these goddamn pedophiles are taking these children, kidnapped in these facilities. And you can best believe that they are being microchipped, so that way their captor will be able to keep track of them. They won't be able to escape their captor. They are sold into sex slavery. A boy is given for a harlot, pretty much. Where is it? Yeah, a boy given for a harlot. and the girls sold for wine that they might drink. That is happening. Because you have taken my silver and my gold and have carried into your temples my goodly, pleasant things. And that's what they done, man, because we are that silver and gold. We're the ones that brought up America. We're the ones that built up. You could even say that land that doesn't belong to them, man. You could best believe that they had Israelite slaves to build that up. Absolutely, they did. You know, that wall of Jerusalem. You know, those bastards dwelling in Ashdod. You can best believe that. Because again, who are the main slaves and who are the ones that have built everything up? Everything that this place is stand upon is upon the slavery of us Jakes. And who works the hardest? What does the term Issachar means? It means hard worker. Well, who works harder, man? I mean, I go into lots of places, and the ones working the hardest are Issachar. And the other Latin tribes as well. These goddamn Edomites can't fucking handle shit, man. The children also of Yehudah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that they might remove them far from their border. And that's what's happening now. As it happened a couple hundred years ago, it's happening now, man. With these detention centers, these FEMA camps set up by ICE. And then you have ISIS as well, wreaking havoc in Syria and Iraq. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither you have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your head. And I will sell your daughters and your sons into the hands of the children of Yehudah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for the Most High hath spoken it. Claim this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And that's what's happening now. And you can see it, though. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yehoshaphat, for there I will sit to judge the heathen round about. And that's what's happening, man. This valley of decision is where it's happening. Multitudes. You've seen all kinds of militias in this valley of decision. The day of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is near in the valley of decision. And again, this is where it will finally end. This thing will go nuclear, because you got Magog there as well. But also, these are the weapons of the Most High's indignation. And the people of Edom, the red Hebrew Edomites, he hath indignation for forever. But also 2/3 will be cut off in that day. So I hope all this has been edifying, and like always, man, just keep on paying attention to what's going on here. And I hope this has been edifying. For that, I want to say Shalom. Barak the Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wa Abba Babal. Barakatum to the hopeful elect.